Hello, and welcome to 30cc. I'm Andrea Pittier. Joining us today in our Platteville studio is singer-songwriter Jim Bohn. Thanks for joining us on 30cc, Jim.
It's good to be here, thanks.
Now, your newest project is called These Walls Tell a Story.
That's right.
What can you tell us about it?
Well, it's interesting. I was in a Pennsylvania steel town a couple of summers ago. And as a songwriter, I'm always looking for new material, and I happened to hear a melody in my head. Mm-hmm. So in order to store the melody, I had to record that in my cell phone. Immediately, I would have forgotten it. But the melody went, "If these walls could tell a story." And the idea was, in this big steel town, it just was a sense of things just slowly deteriorating, and the town was just dying. And it was like, you know, there was so much energy here one time. People worked here, families were raised here. And I just had this sense of, I want to tell a story about this town. And so from there, I went on and started to tell other stories about my dad, about my granddaughter. I could bring out a picture of her, I'm sure that'd be pretty funny. Who I'm very proud of. I talked about my daughter-in-law and other stories, but the whole CD is about people's lives, because I have this belief that everybody has a story. I'm in airports, I've been to Europe, I've spent times in train stations, and on the road. It doesn't matter where I go, I just have this sense that everyone has a story. And I wish I could hear all of them, but I can't. So it's a sense of everyone has a story.
So, who have been your biggest musical influences?
Believe it or not, I have a lot of classical musical influences, even though I can't read a note.
Yeah.
I love Rachmaninoff. I love big orchestral music. I like opera. But I also like old country music. I like blues music. I like music in general. It's just such a big part of me. I can't name one or two people who are really, really strong influences, but I know what I like when I hear it. I like lots of harmony. In the 70s, I was a fan of the Doobie Brothers. Great fan of them. But big harmony, big rock, big blues sound, so that was great. So I've enjoyed them. Other musical influences would be people like Eric Clapton, perhaps, in my life. But now I'm just trying to find my voice and do my own thing.
So coming up, you're going to be performing for us your song, You Can Count on My Amazing Grace. Can you tell us the meaning behind that song?
That's an interesting song, because I think what's really remarkable to me is that a lot of people my age, you're too young to really know about this yet, but you go through life and you struggle and you fail and you pick yourself up, and you just keep finding that along the way you have the sense that God continues to look over you and cares about you, even in the midst of your failure. And that's what I wrote the song about. It was like, okay, I've fallen down, I've struggled, I've been in trouble, I've failed, and yet in the midst of all that, I could look up and say that God was still pouring down His amazing grace on me. That's what the song's about. And people my age really like the song. It's really interesting. They just can relate to the fact that they've struggled, and they like to be able to look up and say, God still pours out His amazing grace. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Good.
Okay, well, thank you, Jim. If you'd like to learn more about Jim Bohn and his music, you can log on to the website, www.jimbohn.com. And coming up next on 30cc, it's an exclusive performance from Jim Bohn and his song, Count on My Amazing Grace. 30cc brings you music and interviews you won't see anywhere else.